So again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for connecting today to the fourth edition of the IRF Young Professionals Summit. Today's event is about achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in Road Transport. Thank you again for connecting and being with us. It will be an event lasting 2 hours. So without further ado, let me just briefly go through some housekeeping rules. We activated the Q&A function, so you can ask questions, also introduce yourself if you want to do that, so please use the chat for that purpose. Furthermore, on social media, we ask you kindly to use 2 hashtags we have prepared for today's event, IRF JP Summit 23 and IRF Young Professionals. You can use either Twitter on our IRF GTKP account and also on LinkedIn. You can find us there through searching International Road Federation IRF between parentheses. So moving now to the opening session of this event, we will have the word from 3 transport leaders, but in special, I'm going to introduce now our president, Anwar Benasous. He's the president of the International Road Federation, and he will be giving some welcoming word. So Anwar, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gonzalo. Good afternoon to all of you, and a special warm welcome to all the esteemed IRF Young Professionals joining us today. And a heartfelt thank you to Carla Gonzalez and also to Dan Chan for sharing their precious time and experience with us today. As the president of the International Road Federation, it gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 4th edition of the IRF Young Professionals Summit. This edition is a testimony of our commitment towards the younger generations and is also a testimony for your engagement and commitment. Congratulations to all of you. As you already know, this year holds a particular significance for the International Road Federation as we celebrate our 75th anniversary. Over the past 7.5 decades, we have strived to connect nations, communities, and ideas. We have innovated to overcome challenges and deliver mobility solutions that empower societies and economies. Today, we stand at the beginning of a new era, guided by the same objective, connecting and innovating to deliver better mobility systems for all. Our theme in this summit, achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in Road Transport, could not be more relevant or timely. Within this theme lies an unspoken but undeniable truth. The road to sustainable progress is built upon the foundation of human potential. As we gather here, we are faced with the world that is evolving at an unprecedented pace. The road transport sector, like many others, is undergoing a profound transformation. We recognize that the challenges we face are not just technical or logistical. They are deeply rooted in our ability to embrace innovation by cultivating talent, empowering creativity, and fostering resilience. At the International Road Federation, we understand that the core of any organization's success is its people. Through the IRF Young Professionals programs, we proudly reaffirm our commitment to nurturing and supporting the next generation of road transport leaders. This summit serves as a proof of the incredible promise that each young professional brings to the table. It is a declaration that our industry evolutions demands not just new competencies, but also fresh perspectives, ideas, and the unwavering dedication of youth. In our pursuit of sustainable development, we are striving to deliver mobility systems that are more resilient, safer, and that leave no one behind. But this transformation goes beyond infrastructure. It is about people, ideas, and a shared vision of a better future. Today, we invite our young professionals to be at the forefront of our collective transformation. We count on you to bring forward bold ideas, groundbreaking solutions, and the determination to push boundaries. Your energy and passion will drive our industry to new heights, and your fresh perspective will inspire us to think differently. As we embark on this summit, let us remember that our strength lies in our diversity, our openness to new ideas, and our willingness to listen and learn. Today, together, we can harness the potential of people to accelerate the transformation of the road transport sector and achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Thank you to everyone for being here today. I wish you all a very successful summit.
Thank you, Anwar, for these welcoming words. During this session, we also invite other transport leaders to tell us a little bit the involvement of young professionals and the relation to transport. So now we will hear a video message from Dan Chen. He's based on the US and for obvious reasons, he couldn't be talking to us live now. Let me share his video message now.
Everyone, this is Dan Chen joining from St. Paul, Minnesota, here in the United States. Sorry I couldn't be with you live today, but I really appreciate Susanna's invitation to share a few thoughts with the YPP group today. For background, I just retired from 3M after 30 years of the company, and most recently as the leader for our global transportation safety business. So since then, I've opened up a small advisory service working in both road safety and in public health. So we only have a single slide and only a few thoughts for the group, but I hope that some of this will spur some further thoughts and discussion on your side. So first off, just want to mention that the work that you are doing is really important, and that's something to recognize. Certainly, we all know the statistics on road safety, that we have about 1.3 million fatalities per year globally, and the new WHO report will be coming out this year. I expect that to show again maybe a slight decrease, but nothing near where we need to achieve from the objectives of halving roadway fatalities and injuries in the next decade of action. The second thing, certainly important from a transport point of view, is transport is a huge contributor to climate impact. So the work you're doing to make transport safer and more efficient is really important. Second thing about working in this area that I've noticed, multiple disciplines need to be together and work together. We need people who are good at policy, people who are good at engineering, people who are good at standards development, people who are good at community engagement. We need all those people to be working together if we're going to make progress. And so it's a really interesting field to work in. Provides people an opportunity to meet cross-section of folks with different expertise. And I think it provides a lot of opportunity from a career point of view. The third thing is that we need you. We need this next generation of leaders. I have such faith in the energy and passion of young people that they work in this area. I've had a chance to interact with many young people, both at 3M, outside 3M, NGOs, and government agencies, ministries. And I'm really positively impressed with the idea that these people of your generation really make a change. I think they bring that kind of energy and hopefulness combined with the competency and tools that can really make a difference. So I get asked a lot for career advice, and I just don't want to get too deep into that, but from a standpoint of just how to think strategically about a career, the things that I notice for people that are very successful in their careers is first is that they have it's an intersection of three different things. That first off, they understand what the world needs. They understand what the needs are from both a global and regional and maybe a local perspective. A second is that they've developed a passion around something, that they understand what really drives them. You know, we say in the United States, what runs your engine or makes your motor run, or what makes you just put extra effort in, and that's that passion that everyone should be looking for. The third thing is you got to be good at it too. You have the technical training, the expertise, the ability to be successful relies on not just passion and having those needs, but also being able to contribute. So training is important, constant training. Yes, you develop your career, things change technology-wise, policy-wise, so keeping up to date on those things is important as well. So just, from my point of view, just keep those three things in mind, and I think you'll be successful. With that, just my thanks to you for listening, and thanks to Susanna for organizing this short opportunity to address the group. And I wish you all the best of luck, both in the near term, but also in your future careers. Thank you.
So we are back now to the opening session. We appreciate Dan Chen for his video message. Now it's the turn of Carla Gonzalez Carvajal. She's a practice manager transport at the World Bank. So Carla, now the floor is also yours.
Thank you, everyone. Good day. Let me, I have 4 minutes to share with you a motivation, and it's already a challenge because I believe you're already highly motivated. Let me start with sharing this thought from the book, The Ego is the Enemy, which I really recommend all of you to read. Aspire. Here, we are setting out to do something. We have a goal, a calling, a new beginning. Every great journey begins here. Yet, far too many of us never reach our intended destination. Ego, more often than not, is the culprit. We believe we build ourselves up with fantastical stories. We pretend we have it all figured out. We let our star burn bright and hot, only to fizzle out. And we have no idea why. These are symptoms of ego for which humility and reality are the cure. So let me just, with those thoughts, add the following. Last week, the world came together to assess compliance with SDGs at the UN. Unfortunately, 50% of these goals have not been met so far. And the question is, can we achieve them within the remaining time? What is the role of you as transport practitioners in getting us there? Our sector is not an objective in itself. So first thing we need to understand is that we are part of a system. Instead of thinking that we are on our own, we all have a challenging role to play as enablers for other sectors to thrive. Education, health, climate change, all of them depend on access to safe and affordable transportation. Let's take the example of jobs creation. The SDGs depends on job creation. However, in some countries, transportation costs can represent up to 40% of the household income. How can we end poverty or boost prosperity under these circumstances? Asset management is another example that you all know. How many road agencies in developing countries have the capacity to sustain the available network? How many are exploring private sector solutions or even using digital tools to add resilience and efficiency to the road or railway networks? Another example, consider urban development. More people are living in cities than in rural areas for the first time in history. However, public transportation systems focus more into the infrastructure to build than into the people that they need to serve. So ask yourselves, are we building enablers or deterrents to support growth in the world? Today, transport practitioners have a much bigger role than building infrastructure or raising awareness. Today, your role requires understanding the social agendas, to understand social behaviors, and above all, to be open to include what you don't know, bearing in mind that our sector is just one part of the solutions. I wish you a lot of good luck. And of course, I hope that you can aspire as much as you can to the best time in your careers, while bearing in mind that humility is critical.
Thank you, Carla, for your words, and thank you also, Dan and Anwar, for the welcoming of this new edition of our Young Professionals Summit. As I said, 4th edition, and we are happy to continue this tradition of organizing this event in September every year. For those who just entered the event, I'm Gonzalo Caraza, I'm the Deputy Director General, IRF, and I invite you also to present yourself in the chat. We have enabled that functionality, presenting who you are and where are you coming from. And eventually, if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A function as well. And moving a little bit forward to the last part of the opening session, this is the part where I'm going to invite you to to the World Congress that is taking place next year in Istanbul. This is the biggest moment for our IRF to join forces, to be together, to join our network. So it's important that we somehow involve young professionals, the youth as well. So we are going to do a little exercise now. I'm going to ask you some questions about how you can be involved in this, or how you think you should be involved in this event. But let me just give you some key factors about the event. So it's taking place in October this year, as I said, 15 to 18. The format is the usual one. It's a conference plus exhibition and technical visits, and it will have a duration about 3.5 days, mostly concentrated on the conference and exhibition, but as well there will be a full day dedicated for the technical visits. And now let me just invite you to join a Menti. If you go on the chat, I will just put the link where you can go through it. We are going to do a very quick exercise on questions. Let me just share my screen where I can show you which is about these questions. So the first question is, how important do you believe is to be actively engaged the engagement of young professionals in this event? And I think this is quite straightforward answer, but still it is important that we all agree on this, and we believe it is very important, but it's also a way to give you some time to connect and make sure that you are in the right page. So I see some people confirming what we thought. Of course, it's very important, and we want you to be part of that. In the last event in the last World Congress we have organized in Delhi a number of years ago, there was some specific sessions for young professionals. We managed as well to raise some funds. So some of you were invited, covering some of the cost for travel and accommodation. So it's something that we want to eventually repeat, and that's why it's important that we get those feedback from you. So I think we have a number of people in the Menti already. So let's move to the next question, which is a little bit more personal. So the question is about how do you think, so which of the following initiatives do you think are most effectively encourage young professionals to participate? And here we have a number of them, but if you have another one, another idea, just feel free to write it on the chat, and we will take it into consideration for sure. You can select up to 3 options. So let's see how you think. We got around 20-something answers in the previous question, so I expect the same amount of people replying to this question as well. Okay, so I see a one that was selected as other, so feel free to write on the chat what that idea could be, and we will be happy to explore that and discuss also with the leaders of the program. So I see we have a sort of clear winner here on the mentorship programs, pairing young professionals with experienced attendees. This is something that eventually is quite straightforward to organize. So let's see if we can satisfy this need, this request, and we'll work on that. Now, I would like to move forward with the last question, which is a very open question about the topics or areas of interest that you believe will be the most valuable during the World Congress. And this is mostly, on your involvement and your ideas of what should be the topics and areas. So you are free to write the topics, and they should be shown on the screen somehow, otherwise we will receive it. So don't worry if they don't show. So same as before, we will be expecting a number of answers before we can move on. So feel free to write your ideas. And okay, road safety, of course, active mobility, road charging, of course, climate change and sustainability, the topic of today, challenges to sustainable transport, sustainability agenda, of course. AI is something that we have seen a lot, especially if you are aware of our startup label. We have seen a number of startups working with AI on transport. This is something that we see as an important tendency in our sector. Very inclusive mobility infrastructures. So thank you the ones that has been providing these inputs. Vehicle to infrastructure, autonomous mobility and connected vehicles. Of course, we have dedicated committees. We work a lot on innovation. We have a number of projects running on that topic. Smart transport, micro-mobility funding. Of course, public transport, safety, mobility, a lot of safety, youth participation in social change. Okay, I think we have a number of topics, and of course, all of them are important, and we will take this as a great input in defining the involvement of you as young professionals, of the youth in general, and how we can make this event as successful as possible for you and the ones that will be able to attend. This is something that the leaders of the program then we will take as a sort of task, understanding how you will be participating, being involved and engaged in the event. So I will stop sharing my screen. That's all for the opening. Thank you again for participating, and feel free to connect with us. We are available at any time. You can join us through our social media on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn as well. So feel free to reach out, and I have to wish you the best for the rest of the event. I will pass now the word to Tendekai, which is going to lead the first session of the event. Thank you all, and hope to see you soon. Take care.
Thanks, Gonzalo. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to our Safer Cities and Communities session. My name is Tendekai Marapara. I'm one of the IRF Young Professionals Lead for membership, and I'm currently based in New Zealand, and I work for WSP New Zealand as a transport safety engineer. I would like to start with a quote from one of the good reads called "Saving Lives Beyond 2020." I don't know. I hope you can see it. So at the back of it, there is the Global Dance Ensemble by Maricela and Dr. Kayesi, and I will read one of the quotes, which says, "Let us raise our voices to save the ozone layer. The global village, where are you now? Why don't you continue with the chorus of the Sustainable Development Goals? Translate them into practical solutions for the small rural village. Let us enjoy dancing in our ordinary microspaces. Let us vigorously perform our local dances to become global best practices. Participate in the dance instead of waiting for God. Let us dance with surprises life throws at us. Embrace life, break predefined boxes, create alternative boxes, dance change, dance solutions, dance possibilities, dance the future we want. So I'll move on to Olufanke. Olufanke is an SDG champion and a regional leader for Africa with the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety. And Olufanke will present she'll present on road safety as a key driver for sustainable development goals. Over to you, Olufanke.
Thank you so much, Sendekai. Hi, everyone. It feels so good to be here. Olufunke Apisojaye from the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety. And today, I'm going to be sharing on road safety as a key driver for sustainable development. And this is an insight from of the Global Youth Coalition for road safety. Road safety is an accelerator of SDG, and therefore it needs to be considered in the agenda of leaders and policymakers if we want to achieve the goal by 2030. So as part of this strategy, the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety prioritized 6 SDGs according to their correlation with road safety. You can access the tools we have developed for you and learn more about the project and activities where we highlight the connection between road safety and the 2030 agenda. As SDG champions from the Global Youth Coalition, we aim to showcase how road safety is the sustainable development goal and how young people can advocate powerfully in bringing about change. At the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety, we recommend government to prioritize safety public transport by investing in active mobility and enacting legislation to build and protect public spaces. We call on intergovernmental organizations and civil society to actively promote sustainable transport as a crucial facilitator of SDG. Our policy brief on SDG 4, which is SDG, which is quality education. We are safe and sustainable mobility is crucial to create inclusive learning space. So safe and sustainable mobility is crucial, and our call to action, the policy brief, is to reduce speed, provide safe infrastructure around school with measures like street school, protect children and educational institutions. Also, our policy brief on SDG 5, which is the gender equality, it brought out many things to limelight. Having surveyed about 46 countries, only 17% of jobs in the transport sector are held by women. And this highlights how lack of road safety and mobility is a gender issue that requires gender responsive planning to protect and ensure equitable accessibility for all gender. And our call to action in this policy brief is a system that will be more equitable So we need more women in the transport system. The policy brief of the Global Youth Coalition on SDG 11, which is sustainable city and community, we emphasize the interlinkages between road safety and sustainability, which is a functional combination that will enhance a twofold goal of improving road safety and attaining SDG 11. Hence, there is no sustainable transport and sustainable urban city without sustainable transport and a sustainable urban city. So our clarion call to government is to make sure they invest this. Our last policy brief on the SDG 11, SDG 13, our brief message on road safety is a key driver to meet the sustainable agenda, because a sustainable mobility system accelerates decarbonization, thereby supporting ecosystem. So our call to government of the world is to ensure system. So at the Global Youth Coalition for road safety, our aim is to save lives. Therefore, we are the youth-led organization to join us. Our website, www.claimingourspace.org. You can join us on Facebook, Twitter, and together we can claim our space. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Olofanke. I think you really touched well on how road safety is interconnected with the SDGs. And I think you touched an important point where you said, I don't know if I still remember very well, I think you said there is no sustainable transport and sustainable urban city without road safety, and there is no road safety without sustainable transport in sustainable urban city. I mean, yeah, this is important because without safe transportation measures and the broader goals of sustainability are compromised. And I mean, because crashes and injuries, of course, they do undermine the safety and well-being of our communities. Thank you once again, Olofanke. And then I'll move on to our next speaker, which is Lorraine Maganga. Lorraine Maganga is 9 years experience working on road safety, and his experience in design and supervision of road projects in Tanzania. He's currently pursuing his master's in road management and engineering at the University of Birmingham, UK. And over to you, Laurent. Laurent is going to present on establishing a one-stop traffic crash data center in Tanzania. Over to you, Laurent. Thank you.
Hello everyone, Tendekai, thank you for the warm welcome. I hope everyone hear me clearly and everyone see my slide.
Unfortunately, no. You may want to share your screen again, yeah?
Yep, maybe. Let me try again. A moment.
Laurent, you need to stop sharing and then reshare again, entire screen, and then you move to the PowerPoint.
Yeah, let me try it again. There you see?
We can still see the folder. Try to open the presentation. Yeah, now we can see the PowerPoint. You can put it full screen. Great.
Thank you very much, and sorry for that. So I'm very happy to be here. Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon. As I'm being introduced by Tendekai, I'm Laurent, and I will be presenting to you the topic regarding the national traffic crash data. So basing on the global agenda, we all know that the United Nations second decade of call for action is to make 50% reduction of the fatalities and serious injury. And focusing on the road infrastructure, target 3 and 4, the target is the same, to make road safer, to make road free from high risky. Target 3 and 4, engage engineers to look on the standard, to look on the design, and to make the safer roads. Also, the WHO is also reporting on road safety status regarding the traffic crash. The traffic injury and crashes has been a disease, has been something that is losing lives of thousands of people, especially young people from 5 to 29 years. So still, we need measure, we need a mechanism to prevent further injury and the crashes. It's a question to look upon the issues of the strategy and policy. This we'll discuss more in the following slide. And based on that, we'll also look upon the causes of traffic crash, basing on the road safety management system or the road safety system. We'll look on the road user, the behavior of the drivers, the condition of the road infrastructure, and also the vehicle. So all these, if we don't maintain well, I mean, if the people are not well educated on the road safety, or we are not well training the driver, all this can cause a crash, or the road infrastructure design, if it's not well properly designed, can be the cause of the crash. So basically, my presentation is focusing on looking on the traffic crash data. How do we treat the traffic crash data into engineering application, focusing of monitoring and preventing crash and enhance the road safety performance. So, and how do we take the treatment? I mean, how do we take the crash data into treatment? How do we manage, especially in our road network? And then we'll look on the better options and recommendations. So as I've said, the traffic crash affect the low medium income countries. Over 93% of the fatalities and serious injury occur in the low and medium income countries, including Tanzania. And just a retro question that we can ask ourselves, do we have the strong, or do we have a traffic crash data baseline? If we don't have, then how can we achieve the United Nations second decade call for action by 2030, that to make 50% reduction of serious injury and the crashes? So we need to establish a very good system regarding the traffic crash data within our road network, so that can enable us to concentrate to know what is going wrong within our road network, and what measures can we take to improve the road safety by monitoring the traffic crash data. And we'll go also to look on the policy. Everyone has his own country. So what kind of policy rely on the traffic crash data and mechanism to prevent the traffic crash within the road network? Why we need traffic crash data? It can be a question, but simply there are a number of answers, but I've just listed some few to improve the road safety management system. It means if we know within our road network, we have the traffic crash, maybe from the road starting from point A to point B, it will be easier to know what are the most causes of the crash to that particular section of the road. Is it about the road geometry? Is it about the driver behavior? Is it about, those kind of factors? Is it about speeding? So it will be very easier to analyze and to coordinate, to harmonize the situation within various stakeholders to ensure that we we make the road safer. Also, we improve socioeconomic balance, we prevent future trafficking, so that also is part of that, and also can enable us to have the root cause analysis and what makes the crash happen with that particular road network. Also, the data can be used as a benchmarking or a baseline strategy to advise the political leader or the decision maker within that particular road network. Also, it can give us a room to define the real problem based on the data, and hence define the better options to prevent future crash. It might be to our countries in Tanzania and some other countries of the world, we have the gaps, we have the challenge to efficient traffic crash data establishment. Then we have to look into the policy. Do we have the policy? If yes, it's good. If no, why not? And if no, do we able to achieve the United Nations second decade goal of action? Is it about level of expertise? Is it issue for capacity or intercoordination performance within the organization? Is it about technology? Is it about lack of responsibility or institutional capacity? Is it about the culture, like let's wait and see, like once the accident happens to that particular section, then we take action? Is it there is improper collaborations or partnership? Is it about police or decision makers engagement? Is it about negligence? Is it about funds? Is it under reporting or something like that? So it's a kind of questions that we'll brainstorm together during the presentation and see what will be the best options to minimize the number of truck crash by using the data that will be give us the indications if we'll be unable to establish the crash data within the road network. If we prevent a traffic crash, we save life. And that is not an our option, it's a shared responsibility. Everyone has right to save life on the road. The engineers are making road not a deathbed, but to increase and to make the road safer for sustainable mobility. Then ideally, if we have the crash data, it will be easier for us to monitor the traffic crash. And then it will give us an opportunity to invest to the black spot investigation and enhance road safety performance and audit. So through the data that we'll have, it will give us a better definitions of why the crash happens within road network. That will be in coordination. That is not someone's effort. It's about harmonization. It's about coordination between the organizations, stakeholder engagement, and decision maker. Also to enhance that system of data will enhance road safety, is audit improvement, black spot investigation, and define the problem, as I've already said. And the major goal is to save life, to make people happy, and free risk from the road that we are built. Ideally, if we manage to establish traffic data center, that will be good to enable us to give the realistic and condition of our road network in terms of fatalities and serious injury. And that it is consistent and it is progressive. It's given us an indication of how we are and what is our vision for the future. Can we maintain the sustainable goal by 2030, or what are the obstacles behind? So that mechanism of traffic crash data can be a very good baseline to analyze that kind of situation within our road network. Last but not least is this crash data will give us the definition, the better options to take on how to enhance the good road performance management system and saving life. We look at the policy reforms, what the policy reforms, if there are some kind of outdated policy, then we need to look on it so that we improve the road safety management system. Is it about the standard? Is it about the specifications? Is it about the road authority engagement, decision makers? So it's time to come together and make harmonization of how do we move to coordinate on the issue of the traffic crash data so that we can see realistically the situation within our country, and also to prevent, and how can we use this data from the engineering point of view to enhance the performance of infrastructure and to make the road network safer. So my last slide says, save life is not an option, it's a shared responsibility. So thanks everyone for listening, and I'll be happy to contribute to some kind of questions in few minutes.
All right, thanks, Laurent. I think you've really touched well on the challenges associated with trying to solve a problem without data, without baseline data, and I'm quite sure we cannot achieve anything without having data. So I'll just to the interest of time, I'll call you back, and then I'll also call upon Olfanke to just have a quick panel discussion, a 5-minute one, max. So I've one question probably for you, for both of you to answer, just as short and sweet. I think we have been touching Olfanke touched on the integration of road safety in SDGs. You really touched well on the importance of data, and I think our target, SDG 3.6 target, is to have the number of deaths by 50% in 2030. But I don't know. Do you think we can achieve this? And do you also think that we are communicating very well the connectedness of road safety into the SDGs? And but most importantly, are we? How can you formulate policies that are not silos and ensure that everything is translated into firm action and solution? I will start with you, Olufanke. Olufanke, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to have a start?
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Tendekai. Well, according to the WHO, World Health Organization, we need to accelerate our progress by 30% in order to achieve the objectives of the second decade of action for road safety. So this means that we need to do more to implement proven intervention and develop new solutions. So personally, I believe it is possible to achieve the objective of the second decade of action for road safety. But it's just going to require a concerted effort from all stakeholders, government, businesses, civil society, individual, and everyone has a role to play this. Yeah.
No, thank you. Laurent, do you have something to say?
Yeah, thank you, Tendekai. Point to add is road safety is a shared responsibility. We need to engage various stakeholders. We need to bring harmonization within our institutions, capacity building, and delivering the skills to the local community. So if we engage, then it will help us to have the more awareness to the community, not only to the engineers or to the various institutions, but to the local people who are also the vulnerable of the road user. So that's what I can add on that. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. So before I close this session, I was just going through my social media platforms, and then I've learned that I've learned of the passing of one of the global fighters, which I think she has been active. She was active, and it's so sad to hear the passing of Zoleka Mandela. May her dear soul rest in peace. She's one of the examples of a true fighter, and she was inspiration to many. So at this juncture, could you please, if you could allow me to end with a take-home quote from one of her speeches. I think it was at the Second World Youth Assembly for Road Safety in Stockholm, and I shall quote, open quotes, how is it that in this world that we live in, we still fail to address the big health burdens that our young people have to face? You don't need me to tell you that the biggest burden, the big killer of young people worldwide is road traffic injury. But I feel the need to ask this question. What is that we are doing about it? End quote. Again, as we dance for the future we want, what is it that we're doing about it? Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Cecilia.
Thank you, Tendai. Hello, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, and evening. Welcome to the panel about combating climate change. No, everyone's seeing me, okay? Yeah, okay, my camera was off. The first paper presented in this panel is the role of transportation, decarbonization, sustainability. The speaker is Carol Masingi. She's a PhD researcher at the University of Groningen and also a SLOCAT IRF Young Leader in Sustainable Transport. Carol, please, welcome, and you can share your screen.
Thank you, Cecilia. I'm just going to share my screen now before I start. Oops. Sorry, I'm just trying to, yeah, okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Just want to say my name is Carol Masingi, and I am part of the Young Leaders in Sustainable Transport, which is a program by SLOCAT Partnership and the Volvo Research and Educational Foundations, VREF for short. I'm also a PhD student from the University of Groningen in the Netherlands, and I will be presenting some insights from the SLOCAT's Global Sustainability Report. I would like to begin with the obvious. Greenhouse gases emissions are still growing. In November 2022, the world recorded the highest concentration of CO2 emissions in the atmosphere. Road transport contributes the largest greenhouse gases among all transport modes, so accounting for 77% of the emissions, while passenger road transport accounts for 47%, while road freight transport accounts for 70% of the CO2 emissions. Road freight transport emissions will likely continue to grow with the rising demand for deliveries and transportation of goods, longer supply chains, and the lack of regulations for vehicles, vehicle efficiency for trucks, for example. While passenger car electrification is well underway, electric trucks and other solutions to reduce emissions by long distance freight transport are still missing. The total economy-wide greenhouse gases need to peak as soon as possible. Rapid mitigation of emissions is also needed until 2020 to limit the global warming to at least 1.5 degrees Celsius. Urgent action needs to be taken in relation to transport. Achieving a low carbon transport pathway that limits global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius will require at least 59% reduction in transport-related CO2 emissions by 2050, compared to the levels in 2020. If we look at more ambitious scenarios, such as the net zero of the International Energy Agency, a 90% drop in transport CO2 emissions is required by 2050. Different transport modes have to contribute differently in these reductions. So CO2 emissions should be reduced by more than 94% for trucks, 98% for cars compared to the levels witnessed in 2020. We know that road transport has various negative impacts in our lives, as Laurent and other colleagues have expressed. Road traffic crashes are the leading cause of death among people between the ages of 5 to 29-year-olds worldwide. There has been no reduction in traffic deaths for a decade, despite ambitious targets, and 93% of the world's road fatalities occur in low and middle income countries. So a major issue that is that infrastructure is planned around vehicles and not people, leading to many people not being sufficiently active. So road transport also represents 40% of the global oil demand. There are indirect costs of fossil fuel subsidies, such as, for example, respiratory diseases, traffic crashes. These are 10 times greater than direct financial costs of fossil fuel. We already know what is needed to transform our transport and mobility systems. And all that is missing is action at the scale and the speed that is required. Some changes that could be done include prioritizing walking, cycling, and public transport, and gradually transitioning away from car-centric models, ending fossil fuel dependency, and supporting the uptake of renewable energy with policies that support a just and equitable transition. Collective, active, and electrified transport is key for a more equitable, affordable, accessible, healthy, green, sustainable, and resilient transport future. Making cities more walkable and more bikeable while ensuring that people have sufficient and equitable access and is very important. For more information on this global report, please visit www.tcc. I don't know if you can see at the bottom, that's the link to the SLOCAT's Transport, Climate and Sustainability Global Status Report. The third edition was just released this month. And it tells the story about how global and regional stories of just where we need to be, where we are and where we need to be urgently on climate and sustainable action, and also transport and mobility. So I'm also part of this amazing program by SLOCAT VREF, which is a young leader in sustainable transport. It's basically tries to engage young scholars and practitioners to build bridges between the transport community and young people, and to explore by co-creating and having an interface between knowledge and policy. For more information, you can follow SLOCAT Official on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And if you want to contact me further, you can email me or add me on LinkedIn, and I'll be free to just communicate with everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Carol. I think it is really interesting to see that by 2021, the congestion has returned to pre-pandemic levels, and I can assure you that in São Paulo, here where I'm from, it's totally pre-pandemic status. So really interesting work, very enlightening speech. And now, Mary, she unfortunately she had an assignment, and so she couldn't join us. So we are going to the next speaker, that is Renata. Renata is from EcoRodovias Group, and she will expose about EcoRodovias pathway to a net zero emissions world. So Renata, Renata is an environment specialist with 10 years of experience working with sustainability in companies of different sectors. Currently, she works at Eco Rodovias Group, and she is responsible for ESG indicators and climate change strategy. So, Renata, thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much, Cecilia. I'm going to share my screen with you. Just one moment. Can you see? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No. Okay, sorry guys, just a few minutes. Can you see my full screen? So let me try again. Sorry. Can you see it now?
Renata, you have to make sure that you're clicking share entire screen before on Zoom when you're clicking which screen to share. Yes, probably stop.
Yeah, but if I do it, because Cecilia is on my side, so. Sorry, I think now you can see the full screen.
Yes.
Okay. So as Cecilia already presented me, I'm working at Rodovias as the sustainability specialist, and I'm going to present a little bit about our decarbonization plan and our pathway to the net zero world. So first of all, Eco Rodovias is a road concessions in Brazil. And you are not seeing my, I can't, it's not going to the next one. So here I have in the first slide, this typical first slides to present a company, but with this slide, I don't want to sell our company, I want to show you our emissions. So in this first slide, we have the map of Brazil, so you can see it's a huge country, and we operate in 11 roads in 8 different states. And in GHG emissions, it means that we need to think about different solutions. So something that works for São Paulo, that is the biggest city of the country, will not work for Aliança do Tocantins, a small city in the North Country. So we need to think different solutions for each places in Brazil. And when I say that I have 4.7 thousand kilometers of roads, I mean that all my vehicles are driving in these roads and burning fuels in these roads. So my scope 1, 4.9 thousand employees, it means that they are using our energy in our buildings, in our toll plazas, so it's my scope 2. 3.1 billion invested on 2022 with our suppliers, so in new raw materials, doing duplications of roads, so this is my scope 3. And also my scope 3 is the 400 millions of vehicles that use my roads on 2022, so they are also burning fossil fuels on my roads. Here a little bit of the background that why are we doing a decarbonization plan? So ASTM, that is our main shareholder, has one SBTi target on July of 2021, they established this target, and then on July 2022, we were included. So we need to pursue this target, that is to reduce 54% of our scopes 1 and 2 emissions and 11% of our scope 3. They also have an ESG linked bonds to these targets. So there are 3 billion euros linked to the achievement of these targets, what give more importance when you talk about a company that needs to have also the profit. And getting inside our decarbonization plan, here we have the main actions. You can see our GHG emissions profile. So our main category of emission is mobile combustion. So this is in our trucks, in our ambulances, in our vehicles, followed by stationary combustion. Always with a new road, we don't have the network connection until and the charges in our new units, so we need to use generators and then purchase electricity. That is the third category. So we have 2 main actions for scope 1, that is the use of ethanol. Ethanol is a biofuel really common in Brazil. So we already use in almost our units, but there are 3 that are still in the implementation process. This is just usable in the light vehicles. So for the heavy vehicles, the heavy trucks, we are thinking about the electrification. We already have a pilot in one of our units, and we are hiring the trucks for our first whole unit this year. For scope 2, we use it in 2022, 5% of photovoltaic plants self-generated, and we intend to use 74% until 2030. And the remaining 26%, we are going to buy clean energy certified. So we are going to have 100% of our energy from renewable sources. We are also studying use of biofuels in our trucks and natural gas in heavy trucks because we still don't have the technology to electrify them. Here about the scope 3, our main category in this case is purchase goods and services that represents 90%. So here we include all the materials that we buy. So all the raw materials to produce the asphalt, for example, are inside this category, and the services to build our roads, to duplicate them, and to operate them. We have already some initiatives in this case. The CapPro AP is one bitumen that is more adequate to use recycled pavements. So here we can use from 20 until 30% of recycled pavement, what means that we don't have the emissions from the extraction of the raw material and the transportation because it's already there. We also have the CapPro W, that is an asphalt binder that allows us to reduce the temperature and the mixture process, so we can reduce the use of fuels, the burning fuels in the process, and the GHG emissions. And we are also working in another part of the emissions that is with our suppliers. We are developing a tool to assess and also to engage these the suppliers to have their own targets in order to help us to achieve our targets. We have also some other initiatives in study, for example, the use of biofuels in the asphalt plants. And here, the last slide, so it's going to be really fast. We have also the category 3 of the scope 3, but it's one part of our scope 3 that we are not including in our inventory, as you saw before, because today we don't have a methodology to measure that is the emissions of our users, the road users. So we don't measure that, but we know that is our main environmental externality. So we already have a plan to install electric charging stations on our roads to allow our users to have their electric vehicles. Here in Brazil is still really at the beginning. We don't have a lot of a lot of electric vehicles. And one reason is because we don't have the infrastructure to this to happen. So we are implementing this, and we have a commitment to install one electric charging station. It is 60 kilometers in our roads until 2030. So this was a little bit of our decarbonization plan. And if you have any doubts, I'm available. Thank you.
Thank you, Renata. I want to you got us some information regarding net zero strategies. Consider that Brazil is equal to 45% of the territorial area, so it's a lot. And being the biggest high operation, establishing this strategic plan should have been really difficult and challenge. And we have 2 minutes to discuss about both presentation, Carol and Renata. So I'm gonna ask a question for both of you regarding the main challenges. So based on what you are seeing, studying, and based on the strategies, the public strategies in your country, which do you think is the main challenges that we need to face to achieve the goal of net zero?
Should I go first? Okay, thank you for the question. I mean, I'm South African, so in what specific relation to South Africa, and this is my own opinion, I feel like the country is car-oriented, but there's a lot of people who depend on public transport as a means to like travel. So I think getting public transport correct is the main point that we need to focus on. Currently in Cape Town, for example, they are rolling out electric buses as a form of public transport. It's not very big. It's still very much in its infancy. So the focus on prioritizing public transport and ensuring that people have safe and accessible and affordable transport is, I think, a good step in the context of South Africa. Thank you.
Regarding Brazil, I think we have actually a big opportunity because nowadays we are using a lot of also fossil fuels, but we have a lot of opportunity to biofuels in Brazil. But the main difficulty here is to have scale for this for these opportunities. So we have ethanol. There is one project that it goes really well in Brazil, so we can find ethanol everywhere. But we have a lot of small initiatives for biofuels, for example, biomethane, green hydrogen, that are still really small, and we need to scale this to the whole country so we can embrace this big opportunity that our country is offering. So I think this is the main challenge, to scale the technologies. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Renata. And now we are going to the next panel. So please, I welcome you, Shashank, Misha. The panel is all yours.
Thank you, Cecilia. That was a very interesting session, and I look forward to understanding more about this next year in person with everyone. So the upcoming session that we have is on building resilient infrastructure and fostering innovations. I'm Shashank. I'm the founder and director of EGIC Innovations, and I'm also the YP lead for projects. So in our panel today, we have Marcela Krau, who is a PhD student at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. Then there's Ben Yaya Yassir, who is a studies manager at National Company of Moroccan Highway. Then Adrian Ray, he's the R&D specialist from Asimo. And last and not least, we'll have Marios Taflos, I hope I'm pronouncing right, product sales engineer at Bentley Systems. So when we move on to this conversation, I look forward to having an interesting discussion. And we'll first start off with Marcela. Marcela, are you ready with the presentation?
Hi, everyone. Just a minute for me to share my screen. It's okay, right?
Yes, it's okay.
So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever you are. My name is Marcela Krau. I'm currently a researcher with a researcher scholarship for Petrobras, and I'm also a PhD student enrolled at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. And I'm here to present the topic Pavements for Tomorrow, Academia and Industry Collaborating for Sustainability. As everybody already said, we are now facing the problem of in 2045 reaching the net zero target emissions. And my question is, what can we do in the asphalt pavement field to reach these targets? The literature has shown us that we could do many different things to potentially reduce up to 65% of the carbon footprint of the pavement life cycle. Those things are mainly increasing the recycled and wasted materials in our mixture, reducing the mixing temperatures or discarding the hot mixture asphalt. We could also transition to energy, our energy source to electric equipment, and focus more a little bit in biomaterials. So my project now with the Petrobras as a scholarship researcher is to calculate the product footprint. We are doing this project to focus on the industry hotspots, so there we can see where we can change and improve our products. So we can decide the most sustainable approach. By that, we can lower the cost in the pavement change, and of course, we reduce the GHG emissions. So doing so, we can achieve a better working conditions for the employers and achieve a better performance for the pavement. In this project, the Petrobras has launched their new product. It's called Capi Pro. That's warm mixed asphalt, and by that, we can, with the industry and the academia together, we can focus on our main problem now, that is data collection. We have many data available on the literature, but they're not updated. So I usually like to focus a bit more on the life cycle of the asphalt pavement. We know that the cycle is made of material production, the asphalt plant, the construction, the use by the vehicles, the maintenance process, and the end of life that produce the product called reclaimed asphalt pavement. So by collecting every process in this life cycle, we can then model in software which the carbon footprint of our product or any product. So now with this project in Brazil, we are pioneers creating one of the first in our country environmental product declarations that could help us classify the products that are being used, the different asphalt materials. So that declaration, it's only possible through the partnership, as I said, between academia and the industry, and also the supply chains, the refineries, and of course the concessions, especially eco-rodovias. So to go further, our project doesn't only focus on the life cycle assessment. We also want to analyze the life cycle costs, because when you reduce the fuels consumption, you can also achieve a better price in the product. And with the life cycle approach, we also have social improvement. As you can see in the pictures, by changing the product, you can achieve a better workability for the employees, and with less fumes from the asphalt. That's by reducing the temperature. And all of that combined, we hope to achieve a better product, a long-lasting product, using the balanced mix design approach. So our results so far has shown that the Capi Pro, the new product with warm mixture asphalt, can achieve up to less 13% CO2 emissions. That's equal to 7.6 kilos, less kilos of CO2 per ton of asphalt mix production. That's very relevant in the total consumption of the total life cycle of the pavement. And also the benefits, economical benefits, because we have a reduction in the fuel consumption, so we can achieve up to 26% reduction in the fuel consumption and with a 33 degrees reduction on the temperature. So this performance is very similar to what we have found in the literature, but in Brazil we haven't been able yet to do the test ourselves and to prove that these numbers were real and achievable. I would like to thank you for your attention, and thank you the partners for helping me and helping to develop the topic in Brazil. You can contact me through this email or my LinkedIn page. And if you have any questions about this project or my research, feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcela, for that presentation. Now we head over to Marios, I believe. So Marios, over to you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, let me turn on my camera and start sharing the screen. Just a moment. And please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So, hi everyone. It's very nice being here. I hope that you are all doing very well. My name is Marios Daflos, and I am the product sales engineer for mobility simulation products at Bentley Systems. Basically, my role is to help engineers and architects all over the world to build and manage the future of transportation. So in today's presentation, I would like to discuss about a very hot topic nowadays, which is a digital twin of transportation systems. Now, how people live and where they live today is very different than 20 years ago, 50 years ago, and of course, hundreds of years ago. Many would argue that we now live in a world of cities where population has shifted from rural areas and the countryside to urban areas. And the cities of today face a lot of challenges like climate change, air pollution, traffic accidents, noise, accessibility, and many more. And of course, transportation is a very big part of the problem. So the engineers of today need to take an action and create an integrated approach to deliver a better and more sustainable road network. Now, this is why we need to build a digital replica or a digital twin of the transportation system. We need to be able to understand how the transport system works today in order to predict how it will be in 5, 10, or 15 years from now. This way, we can understand who is traveling, where they are traveling from and to, why they are traveling at all, when their trip is made, what mode they will use for this trip, which route they will take. And once we can do this for our immediate situation, we can use a digital twin to look ahead and play out different scenarios based either on policies or trends or planned infrastructure schemes. This ability to test in the virtual world before investing in the real one affords foresight in planning that can save millions of dollars and thousands of hours in the design and operating stages later on. Not only it can forewarn of potential problems, but it can also inform business cases for funding. It can help prioritize projects, and it is used to assess environmental impact overall. By building a digital twin, we can also test new technologies, which is also a very hot trend nowadays. And this will ultimately assist in creating a cleaner and greener road network. There's, however, debate about whether we should be making fewer trips in total, meaning that easier and cheaper trips are sometimes counterproductive regardless of the types of fuels used for them. So there's a bit of argument here. That's why engineers need to establish detailed choices for traveling or distributing goods into their digital twins. This can range from forecasting of micromobility, such as e-scooters, to the impact of connected but also autonomous vehicles. Subtle differences such as whether vehicles are owned or rented can also affect transport networks. So modeling these options in a digital twin of the urban area is of paramount importance and will also help form policies and guidelines to ensure a safe and efficient use of these new technologies. And now I would like to show you an example of how you can test new technologies in a digital twin. So we are all aware of electric vehicles in a private sense, and of course there's lots of going on with electric buses, trolley buses, trams, etc. But another electric mode of transport, which for the most part is only popular in ski resorts, is the cable car, or in this situation, the urban gondola. So these systems have been particularly successful and have been used in South American cities, where we have dense populations and hilly landscapes, and this combination has accelerated their adoption. A study undertaken by the University of Applied Sciences in Düsseldorf, and which has been presented at the European Transport Conference, has calculated that for a case in La Paz, Bolivia, the cable car produced less than a quarter of the CO2 emissions, which are equivalent tonnage of other public transport modes for the same exactly journey. So this is what they try to do in Paris, in France. So in Greater Paris, the local authorities have studied the impact of a cable car to serve communities with poor accessibility. And they have just got the go-ahead for a 4.5 kilometers route in the southeast of the region. So next time you go to Paris, hopefully you will see that. The idea being that the gondola can cross existing infrastructure relatively easily with lower ground footprints. So this is a summary of some applications where building a digital twin can help create a better, but also a more sustainable transport network. Of course, I'm not going into details due to time constraint, but you can see that it covers many aspects of transportation, including land use, active modes, economic and environmental analysis, and of course, public transport improvements. So to conclude, using dedicated tools, you can now build a digital twin of the transport system and test different scenarios for choosing the best alternative that meets the target set by the local government. The ultimate goal is, of course, to deliver a sustainable and a more accessible and reliable transport system to the community. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'm open for any questions you might have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marius, for that presentation. It's very interesting to see how you're replicating the real world in simulation. So we'll move next to Ben Yaya Yassir. If anyone has any questions for the speakers so far, please drop them in our Q&A section. And we'll stop in after this. After Ben Yaya, we'll go to Adrian, and then we'll stop for some Q&A if time permits. So over to you, Ben Yaya.
Thank you, Shashank. So I hope you are hearing me.
Yes, I can.
Okay. I'll start by sharing.
Yes, we can see your slides.
You can see the full screen share?
Yes, we can.
Great. So I'll start by presenting myself. I'm Ben Yassir. I have a civil engineering degree, and I work currently as a studies manager at ADM. And I'm here today to present the new version of ADM's Greenwich Standards Guide. So first of all, what is ADM? ADM is the company that is responsible of the design, construction, and maintenance of the Moroccan highways network that counts more than 1,750 kilometers of highways in operation and more than 140 kilometers under construction. Throughout all the studies led by ADM, the company has conducted many hydrological and hydraulic studies in the most largest catchment areas in the kingdom. So over the years, ADM has observed the outcomes of the implemented solutions and gained a better understanding of the theoretical calculation methodology along with the associated provisions, adapted, of course, to the local context. As a result, ADM has created the guide to consolidate this feedback and to present it in a format that will benefit the company's future projects. So in addition to summarizing the company's feedback, the guide is applicable to all hydrological and hydraulic studies in Morocco. It includes the calculation methodology and the provisions to be considered in the design of highway structures. The guide is structured into 3 chapters that are preceded with an introduction. And the first chapter is hydrology. It provides with definitions of some general concepts, and it categorizes the catchment by size and addresses each category with its corresponding formulas and parameters. The second chapter is hydraulics. It covers culverts and bridges, hydraulics, each with its specific methodology. And finally, the manual gives some general guidelines to design the structures that help in the surface drainage of highways platforms, such as ditches, cascades, chutes, drains, etc. So throughout all the chapters, the guide precisely emphasizes provisions and components that facilitate the platform's integration into its environment, while preserving nature from any negative impacts that the highway platform might cause. And as example, we're gonna see 3 aspects. Culverts are meticulously positioned within the natural watercourse channel to avoid disrupting the ecosystems associated with the channel. Protective measures are essential downstream and upstream of the culverts to minimize the impact of water collection within the culvert on the surrounding ground. And automatic installation of oil separator devices is required for bridges crossing watercourses. These devices effectively store and separate oils from water collected by sideline ditches before redirecting the filtered water into the natural channel. So in conclusion, ADEM's experience in developing its own own drainage standards guide has been a success in the management of companies' projects for sustainable and eco-friendly transportation infrastructures. This achievement has served as an inspiration for other local institutions that has undertaken similar initiatives in recent years. So thank you everyone for your attention, and back to you, Shashanka. Thank you.
Thanks, Benyaya, for the presentation. Very interesting. If anyone has any questions for Benyaya, please do drop them in.
Of course.
Now let's move to Adrian. Adrian, welcome. The floor is yours.
Okay, Benyaha is sharing the screen, so I can share my screen. So Benyaha, if you can put your the screen.
Benyaya, can you please stop sharing your screen so we can send over the mic to Adrian? Thank you. So over to you, Adrian.
Okay. Tell me if you can see the screen.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to share this presentation. Today, I will explain how it's been obtained a useful value to decide if some segment of the road needs maintenance or not in Belgium. And I will explain how using computer vision, we could improve that. So we are focused on the maintenance side of the asphalt life cycle that Marcela from Petrobras told earlier. I will follow this index during the presentation. First, I will explain what do you need to address for the digital transformation of the roads. Secondly, why computer vision plays a key role in the future of the analysis that is being made all around the world in the roads. Later, what do you need in a procedure to use these techniques? And finally, I will show an example of the MF89 procedure that we use for roads in Belgium. The question is, are you prepared for the digital transformation? This is a difficult question because the digital transformation means the transformation of the processes and the transformation of the organizations. So you require a mind open to the change. Perhaps you are not sure about this question, but you can agree that the next 4 bullet points are true. First, you want to improve the way and the frequency of the inspections of the road, especially in the case of the pavement, because an early intervention reduces overall cost and emissions due to the repairment of the roads. Second, you want to be more efficient and homogeneous in the inspection, so the road condition does not depend on the subjectivity of anyone. Third, you want to prioritize the repairments according to technical evaluations, and you want to take efficient decisions. Fourth, you do not have infinite resources to do any of this, so you know that some digital technologies can help you achieve those goals. For this digital transformation, you can use several technologies. You will see examples with LiDAR, floating car data, and computer vision. Our main approach is with computer vision because it gives enough data to detect and identify all road assets. First sight, you can use it in the same way you are doing manually, but improving it because a computer vision model does not get tired and it can look at all the assets of the road at the same time without needing to stop to assess every one of them. For example, the lane markings and the degradations of the pavement at the same time. And on top of that, you will be able to analyze information that is impossible to catch by human eye because you can use images out of the visible spectrum with special cameras. For example, an infrared camera that lets you measure the reflectivity of the lane markings, one key parameter to know when they need maintenance. In the case of the evaluation of the pavement, here you have an image of the procedure that the technician needs to fill to get a road score of one segment. For example, in the procedure is being considered the type of the surface, the number of its degradation types, and the severity of those degradations. Later, with all this information on a formula, we can give it a score to that road segment. That will let us compare between road segments and decide better where the maintenance needs to be done. For that, it's important a value for each road segment. Now that we have a procedure to evaluate the road condition, we need a computer vision model to be able to detect the degradations. And this is mostly being done on the fly, considering that previously the technician should stop and measure every degradation. This video is an example of the model developed by Asimov that detects road markings and degradations in the road. With the zone detections, we can apply automatically the MF89 procedure designed by CRR in Belgium that was created for human use. With this procedure, you obtain for the condition of the road based in the parameters that we have discussed earlier. This score enables us to decide what road segments need repairment, and also you get a list with all the degradation that the model has detected and the measures. In the image, you can see green lines where the road segments are okay and where they have a low score, and the red lines are when the road score needs maintenance. And something that we are now developing is the upper image of the slide that is the bird's eye view of one of the road segments. This is pretty relatable to the image shown earlier that the technician should fill to have a road score, but now is created with the real image, and the detection are automatically created as the layer above this image. So reducing the time to repair and decide where the repairment needs to be done. So that is all. You can contact us for more details, and thank you very much for your attention. I give you the word. Thanks.
Thank you, Adrian, for that. So before we move over to Ray, I just want to check in if we have time. Ray, do we have a time for a question?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
So there are two Rays on the conversation. Okay, so we can have some questions. So first up is a question for Marios. Marios, someone has asked that, are there any considerations to incorporate some subjective experiences of a particular mode of transport in the model that you were talking about?
Hello, yes, I think I replied that to the chat, but I will repeat it here. So basically you can include any mode of transportation in your model so that you can test its impact on the transportation network. Of course, there are many parameters that you can play around so that you can basically calibrate it to represent what your needs are, if it's a new technology. Of course, models and building a digital twin is the closest we have to replicate what is happening in reality. But please don't forget that in the end of the day, we say that all models are wrong, but some are useful. So you need to, of course, you can test anything, but you need to have a critical thought in the end of the day to understand what is happening. Maybe you need to run many scenarios, right? So.
Good. Thank you, Marius, for that clarification.
No worries.
I have one question for the panelists. This is on the infrastructure space. So in the beginning, when Gonzalo was asking for insights, there was some requests on topics which were around the smart infrastructure and vehicle to infrastructure conversations. So I would want to get some insight from the panelists. So Adrian, you're working on using computer vision for the infrastructure maintenance and components around that. So how do you see the future? And this question is for the whole panelists. How do you see the infrastructure evolving into a smarter infrastructure?
Well, I think that the third one is for me. And thanks for the question, first of all. And second, the future in the road or asphalt management, I think that the models of artificial intelligence will be more important in the future, because it's, with all the data that we can collect during the years, we could improve all the processes that we are currently making.
Thank you. Interesting, Adrian. Benyaya, over to you. There's a question for you also, that what kind of software are you using to come up with your study as presented?
To come up with, excuse me, to come up with?
With your study. So the presentation that you gave.
Okay.
Recent study, what software were you using?
Okay. So to start, I want to say that our standards drainage guide emphasizes on a key aspect in eco-friendly and sustainable infrastructure. That is the hydrology and hydraulic management. Our guide doesn't specify any specified or software that is that is has to be used. So it is open. It mainly specifies the methodology and all the aspects that should be respected for to build an eco-friendly infrastructure. So it doesn't really use a specific software to answer that special question. Thank you.
Thank you, Benyaya. And so over to Marcela. Marcela, the question for you, which I posed to the panelists. So how do you see the vehicle to infrastructure landscape evolving?
Sorry, could you repeat? How do I see what?
How do you see the vehicle to infrastructure landscape and the smart infrastructure landscape evolving?
I'm sorry, I might be having trouble with the audio because I still cannot understand the question. It's written in the Q&A.
It was a question from me, which was around the smart infrastructures. So how do you foresee it playing along your research?
Oh yeah, I'm also researching about porous pavement, so I believe these gray and green infrastructures could develop the city to reach these lower emissions that we are hopefully trying to reach in 2045. But I see that we are starting in a point now where we are not there yet because we are starting just with warm mixtures. So we hopefully could in the future achieve the cold mixtures and then get these smarter cities and smarter pavements that we are looking for. And hopefully I understood and answered it appropriately.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, yes, you did. Thank you so much for answering the question. So over to Ray. Ray, are you ready with the closing and the closing sessions for us?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Ashank, and thank you to the rest of the speakers. So I'm very happy that we are quite on time. In fact, we're a bit early. Okay, so I will be doing the closing and the wrap up. So I'll just basically be giving the closing address, but I'd also like to recognize my fellow IRF young professional leaders, and they're shown on screen right now. Tendekai, Cecilia, and Shashank. So thanks, guys. And yeah, so we've done quite a job in organizing this. So what I wanted to say is that, oh yeah, before I forget anything, I'm Ray Adrian Macalalag, a Senior Economic Development Specialist of the National Economic and Development Authority in the Philippines. However, I'm currently in Australia as a Master of Transport student at the University of Sydney. And I've been previously the IRF Young Professional Lead for East Asia and Pacific, and we restructured this year and I became the lead for communications. Anyways, it's 2023 and this has been the 4th edition of the summit. And in fact, this has been the 3rd one I've personally been involved with. And I'm happy to have done this with my fellow young professional leaders. Again, Shashank from India, Tendekai from Zimbabwe, the past 2 years with Frederick in Belgium, and also our new young professional leader, Cecilia from Brazil. So we are deeply honored to have fellow young professionals, our speakers, share with us what they care about in the transport field, particularly in relation to achieving the sustainable development goals. The sessions today have been tailored to inspire all of us in building safer cities and communities, combating climate change, and of course, building resilient infrastructure and fostering innovation. Also, we are very grateful for the presence of IRF President Anwar Benzuz and our keynote speakers, Dan Chen and Carla Gonzalez Carvajal earlier. For the past summits, it has been just young professionals talking about what they're passionate about. And this year has been different. We have them as speakers at the opening, which is a testament that the generations of transport practitioners have come together. So on behalf of the young professionals, we express our thanks and we look forward to your continuous support as our inspiration and mentors. And to our friends in the IRF, thank you to Agustina Massarini, IRF Communications Officer, who helped us in the background. To Gonzalo Alcaraz, IRF Deputy Director General, and the man behind the start of this IRF Young Professionals. And also to Susana Zamataro, IRF Director General. Thank you for your support and for recognizing the potential of young professionals and building this platform for us to meet annually. Finally, let me express that we at the IRF Young Professionals accept this challenge for the future of road transport and this opportunity to become change makers for this generation and the next. This summit through the years has become an annual gathering of young transport professionals. And I don't know how many participants have consistently attended since 2020. Well, I did, but we, the young professional leaders and the rest of the IRF community look forward to meeting all of you personally in Istanbul in 2024. And that's just my message. Thank you and good evening from Sydney.